Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, from Tin Mirror Studios in Kings Park, New York. Jimmy Pharaoh, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing lovely. Mike, it's great to see you. How you been?
Huh? Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's get serious. No more talk. Johnny Rods, 83 years old, buddy. The great Johnny Rods, who we had on the show. A huge fan. What do you think of Johnny, buddy?
What do I think of Johnny Rods?
Yes, that's the question of the day, my friend.
Wait a minute. Did something happen to Johnny?
No, his birthday. He's 83.
Oh, it's his birthday. He's 83 years old. So it's something good happened to Johnny. Okay, good. What do I think of Johnny Rods? Johnny Rods goes back to that special little time period when I first got into wrestling, and then, I got you into wrestling. Johnny Rods is the man. For some of the guys today that are, sure, they can do a cartwheel or they can do a flop off the top rope or whatever. Johnny Rods looked like the part. Johnny Rods could have easily been a main event type just by his look. He had a great look. As far as his speaking skills, we never really got to hear him say much, did we?
No,
but as we found out in our interview with Johnny Rods, just like we find out with so many of these guys, he was great talker, had plenty to say, very engaging. Johnny Rods is unpredictable. Johnny Rods was a legend over in California as a heel. Johnny Rods did a lot in this business, and I have massive respect for the unpredictable Johnny Rods.
I'll tell you, when we had him on, I think you and I were marking out a little bit, right? It was a big deal to us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny Rods is the man, Now, I really would like to get Johnny and Jose together. Can we somehow still pull that off? That's the real question.
I think we might be able to. Real quick, Jimmy, Foxy asked me before the first show, and I don't know if you know the answer, but interested in the Miss Beautiful Karen McDaniel's headdress. What is the origins of that bridal headdress that she wore? And by the way, if you haven't seen Jimmy and Karen's wonderful wedding, it is on the Monte and the Pharaoh YouTube page. Joe wanted to cut that video, but he wanted $4,000, and I decided to pass. But go ahead.
Well, thank you for passing. I mean, we have wrestlers to book and things to plan, so I appreciate that not happening. Now, as far as Karen's headdress that she wore at the wedding, I cannot honestly say that I know that much about that one. I do know that her son, Zach, for the longest time has had Wahoo's headdress. But as far as the headdress she wore, you know what? I have not asked her about that. I'll probably get a text during this show telling me something about it. Hint, hint, Karen, darling. Anyway, but, I was blown away when you could see the head. I was on the boat already when we were getting ready to do the ceremony. And I could see the headdress, obviously, because the headdress gives, it's up there. And when I saw the headdress before I saw her, and that's when I realized, holy shit, this is happening. So that was like a major, awesome moment in my life that I will never forget. It was amazing. It was amazing.
I loved it. You know how much I loved it, dude. So
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, she's everything to me. That was just incredible.
I wanted to remind everybody, Ulysses Diaz, Monster Man, was supposed to be on tonight, but he fought on Friday, and he's running a marathon, so he will be here next week. I'm very excited for that. Jimmy, we're going to have a large list of guests coming on. It's going to be a one crazy summer for the channel and for our family. I think we're going to get to see some of the major stars that we always wanted to see. So I think I think it'll be awesome. Listen,
very nice.
A little news before we get going on the show. West Virginia candidate hospitalized after being bitten by snakes while removing campaign signs. A candidate for the West Virginia Secretary of State said he's been hospitalized for a copperhead snake bite sustained while removing election campaign signs. Doug Scaff said he was bitten in the left leg and the right foot Wednesday near Route 119 in Danville, news outlets reported. Scaff told West Virginia Radio Network, let me try that, the West Virginia Radio Network, Metro News, that passers-by called for medical assistance. The South Charleston resident said he expects to be in the hospital in Charleston for just a few days. Scaff ran the Secretary of State's race as a Republican on Tuesday. In unofficial returns, Scaff finished second to Chris Warner. Jimmy?
By the way, I hate the way you read that. Please never do that again.
I thought it was professional. I apologize.
I thought it was as sterile as could be. Please just go back to being yourself. I really appreciate that. Thank you, buddy.
It won't happen again, Jimmy.
Well, that's good. I would hate to come over there and eliminate you from reality. All right. Now, I have a question about this guy. When he was removing the signs, was he removing his opponent's campaign signs? Did it say that anywhere? That's a key thing to me.
I think he was taking down his, I think. I would hate to think that he was removing the opponent's campaign
Because if he's removing the opponent's, play dirty tricks, win dirty prizes. If he's removing his own, he should have been more aware about the fact that there might be snakes that can kill him. Wake up, idiot! What are you doing?
Bro, by the way, in Florida, you got a lot of snakes down there, right?
I haven't seen any. They're afraid to come on my yard. They must have heard about my temper or something. I haven't seen any.
You got that poison blood, man. They bite you, they're going to drop dead.
They'll be like Camel cigarettes. Oh.
I can't. All right, sad news for Sad news, Jimmy, for WWE.
Stop doing that!
I might have to do this.
Like a Monty.
All right, I'm sorry. WWE Hall of Famer Tammy Lynn Sytch reportedly dealing with health issues in prison. Now, Sytch has even more to worry about regarding her health. Speaking with TMZ Sports, Sytch claimed that she has suffered blood clots in her left leg. Sytch stated that she began noticing swelling in her leg, described as being from the top of her knee all the way down to her toes. Upon being transferred to Lowell from Central Florida Reception Center, the WWE Hall of Famer further claimed that she sought medical attention immediately, but the prison officials proceeded to ignore her. Even as Sytch's condition worsened to a point that she barely can walk, Sytch was eventually able to convince staff members to get her leg tested, revealing the blood clot, and leading to her being treated with blood thinners. Nevertheless, she called for treatment a chore and continues to express concerns regarding how she's been treated during her recovery. Jimmy?
Okay, well, I really hate to break it to poor Sonny, but right now there's a grandfather, I believe it was a male, that's lying in a grave that doesn't feel anything at all because she decided to continue being Sonny, the diva, the rock star, way beyond her time, wasn't satisfied with staying in her lane. Does this sound familiar, by the way? Wasn't satisfied with staying in her lane. She could have been adored by the public for years to come, making convention appearances, doing interviews, enjoying what she had built up over her wrestling career, and being level-headed about it. But she decided to continue being, I'm Ric Flair's illegitimate sister, and I'm going to go out and get bombed, and I'm going to go out and live that fast lifestyle, and someone is dead, and there's not a damn thing they can do about that. So while I don't think it's cool that prison officials who we pay for as taxpayers are ignoring her, I don't think that's cool, but I guess you reap what you sow. Sorry.
I got to ask you this because there's been on the news recently about groups that are looking for fair treatment for prisoners, that prisoners aren't being fairly treated. And as I watch, I think to myself, we're both God-fearing people, right, Jimmy? So this is a very serious question to you.
All right, go ahead.
There is a thing about forgiveness, right? We both follow Christ, and again, we didn't show our Christ-likeness on the last show, so we're going to try to do a better job
we didn't even approach Moses level there, but go ahead.
Okay, so being supposed to forgive, do you think prisoners should have rights, and do you think Sonny's really got a gripe? Obviously not by what you said, but as a God-fearing man, I ask you this question.
Well, if I'm answering it as the preacher of Nazareth would answer it, then of course she deserves sympathy and compassion. I'm not that far out of my own shoes that I can't realize, who made my feet for me. All right. So basically, Yeah, she deserves the compassion, but at the same time, though, how could she be surprised that look, she put herself in this position. She put herself in this position. Now, it doesn't mean that she should be treated like shit, like I've already said. But at the same time, crying out to the public about it, what's that going to do? It's not going to do anything. If anything, it's going to piss off the prison guards even more. To tell you the truth, it's probably going to just piss them off more. I don't see how that could happen, to work in her favor. I don't see it at all, And those, by the way, those people that scream for better treatment of prisoners, there's rapists and murderers in those prisons. In those prisons. What if it's your child that was raped? Do you really think that the mother and father of the child that was raped really gives two shits whether they feed them nails for breakfast? No. It's not easy to be as you said, a God-fearing person, because Jesus said that himself. It's really impossible, and he granted us that. Look, I know it's impossible to try to walk the way I did. That's why I'm the one that has to do what I'm doing. Whether you believe or not, these are the basic principles of the good book.
Listen,
and that's up to you. You do with that whatever you want. That's your free choice.
I'm going to take this moment to tell you, and Abe, you're going to be shocked at this too, bro. Is I'm running for office. I'm running for office next year. Yes, I am. I'm running for the board here in Comac, and I'm going to start my political career. And I'm not kidding here. This is not a joke. And when I eventually run for president of the United States, which I will be, right? People will look back on these videos and pull all the garbage I've said over the years and try to cancel me out, but it won't work. And I will tell you, and I will get an island like Manhattan Island, like Escape from New York. I will have walls built, and every prisoner will go in there. R.J. Hudson, Monty, for 2028. Count it, man. I am running.
And so
Karen McDaniel, move up to New York. Or you could vote for me from Florida. I'll be running. Jimmy, you could be my vice president.
You're going to put me in the White House? They would not even let me on the lawn. What are you talking about?
You'll be my vice president, and we'll make Joe Lowery our treasurer. What do you think?
You're going to put him in charge of our money?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, he won't mess around with it, Jimmy, because he's too lazy. He'll be sleeping most of the time, so we'll be okay.
So what's next? Is Phil in charge of international affairs? I mean, what's going on here?
Phil in charge of international affairs. He'll be like, yeah, I know you bombed Pakistan, but it's okay.
Phil does not think like that. No.
And then the president of Iran will call. Benny will be on, on our cabinet.
Oh, stop it.
And the leader of Iran will call Benny and be like, we're going to bomb them. Okay, that's cool. I get it. And then Israel will be like, hey, we're going to bomb. Oh, yeah, it's cool. Those guys from Iran suck. And those guys from Israel suck.
Oh, my God. He would not. Ay.
All right, listen, we're talking about cancel culture in pro wrestling. So recently, controversy surrounds RJ asked me to try it as Paul Bearer. This is going to be terrible, but I'll do a little short spin. Controversy surrounds Tiffany Stratton. Okay, that's it.
What was that supposed to be?
That was supposed to be Paul Bearer.
Oh.
After racist incident involving Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, a recent addition to the SmackDown roster, was embroiled in a storm controversy. We all know the deal, and we're going to play the video, and let's just discuss it. Was there a sound with that? Anyway. So she called Jade Cargill a black bitch, right? She didn't even say bitch. I think she said black bee, okay? First of all, Jade Cargill had to know, like, to look like Jade Cargill or Bianca Belair. It's part of a role. What do you think, Jimmy?
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to, as usual, I'm going to go deeper about this. The people that scream about now, what, like, is all of a sudden Stratton in trouble for this?
Well, by the way, supposedly, I can't confirm, but I was reading before the show that the Belair Stratton match for SmackDown Friday has now been taken off the card.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Listen, people who think that they're freedom fighters by silencing people or whatever. Look, she didn't use She didn't use derogatory terms, and her skin color is black.
Hold on.
Just like I'm a
But hold on.
just-
Maria Davis says she called her a black bitch. That isn't going to fly with everyone. But here's my question.
Right.
They're wrestling, fake wrestling.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Tiffany Stratton's supposed to be this snobby white girl, right?
Right.
You know, again, I think it's wrestling. Come on.
Here's my deal with that, okay? And I really hope I don't offend anybody here, but I'm just going to tell it like I absorb it, all right? I have had a problem for the longest time with rap artists using the N-word. They use it all the time. I think it's incredibly, incredibly insensitive and disrespectful towards those who can't speak for themselves, the ones that were enslaved back in the 1800s. Okay? I have a huge problem with that. All right? I think it's wrong to do, but I've been told it's a badge of honor or something like that, and that, you know, who knows why they insist on using that word. To me, it's a terrible, terrible word. It's right up there with anything Hitler tried to do to the Jewish people. Okay? It's not good. All right? So calling somebody when you're describing somebody's skin color and you're not using a derogatory N-word term, I don't find that to be like, oh my God. Now, I do understand what Maria said, and I agree with her. I'm sure it doesn't fly with some people. But when you go deeper and you see millions of records being sold by black artists, now I just said black artists, is that derogatory? No. All right? But when you see them constantly dropping the N-bomb, I find that incredibly disrespectful and insensitive towards those who truly suffered through that word. You know? So to me, it's like, stop it, society.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? By the way, Jay Will says, Pharaoh, I agree with you. I don't use the N-word, and I don't get on blacks at the gym about using it. You should not get mad if Dick Murdoch uses the word if that's the case. Here's a question. This is my belief. Don't you think Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair should make a statement saying, give it a break?
Well, that's up to them, you know, and let me tell you, it's very difficult for anybody to stand up for what they feel is, you know, too much, especially if the popular opinion is that's too much. You know, everybody, it's not, it takes a special person to go, you know what? This is bullshit. Take a little bit off the fastball and slow the fuck down.
But that's what I'm saying. They could squash this whole thing by saying, guys, this is a show.
Right.
Take a break.
Right. I think that they could, but again, you know, like I said, it takes a listen.
Is there a possibility that Bianca Belair and now, by the way, Bianca Belair, when Tiffany put it on X, Bianca Belair put laughing emojis up. Okay.
Right.
But is there a possibility that Jade and Bianca aren't happy with it, or maybe after they thought about it became unhappy with it? Because they are, listen, let's be fair. I'm a huge Bianca Belair fan. You know that, right?
Okay.
And
yeah, I do.
I'm kind of digging Jade. And they are kind of representing the, you know, African-American young women that are coming up this country.
And they're doing a great job of it.
Absolutely. So do you think now they're thinking back on it going, well, nah, I'm not okay with it?
You know what? Like I said, it takes a lot of guts to be able to put your arm around somebody and calm everybody the hell down and put things into proper perspective. And let me just get to this quick. When Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, there were a bunch of asshole white racists calling him every name in the book, and especially the N-word. And what happened? One white guy with a lot of balls, a lot of guts, named Pee Wee Reese, the captain of the Brooklyn Dodgers, walked over to Jackie in front of thousands of people, in front of the other team, in front of his team, and put his arm around Jackie because he knew Jackie, number one, was a good man. Number two, was in an uphill battle that he wanted to let him know, I got your back. You belong here. You deserve to be here, and I'm with you. Okay? Now, this is a way different, you know, for God's sakes, what are we talking about? The fact that we have to even
I don't want to interrupt you on this, but I do have a question. So Maria Davis writes, Triple H and Shawn Michaels need to check their writers. They're going to have a lot of big backlash because of this. So Maria, as being a proud black woman, I'd ask you to please say in the chat, How do you feel about the situation? Maybe this is a perfect example of, we think it's maybe not a big deal. Maybe Maria does. So, Maria, if you could put in the chat how you actually feel about it, I'll read
Mike,
it.
I'm actually a little confused that, right away there were laughing emojis. What from Bianca, you're saying?
From Bianca, yes.
Right. Which means that, hey, we're friends, and I find this funny.
Right, but
So,
I think originally none of them were. It was okay, but now with this little bit of because people are getting upset. Is there a point that Jade and Bianca are like, you know what?
Right.
I can't go along with this.
Right. You know what's really sad? Maria has a really good point too. If Triple H and Shawn Michaels ever want to even bring back touches of the Attitude Era, it'll never happen. They're not going to let them. You're not going to let them. But there's going to be one scream after another.
Do you think
the
Jade
Attitude Era would not be allowed to exist?
Do you think Tiffany Stratton's career is in jeopardy right now?
God, I hope not. She's very, very, very good already at what she does. God, I hope not. That to me would be like what happened to Mel Phillips with that whole situation that we've covered in the past. I would hate to see somebody lose their job or have their, life love of wrestling destroyed. I would over this. Really?
By the way, Jay Will says Triple H blackface on The Rock would have been canceled today.
Right. Of course it would have. Well, Al Jolson made a career out of doing stuff like that, and he's canceled. Nobody even talks about him anymore. Look, what was once okay is not anymore.
Yeah,
That's all there is to it.
Here's the thing, Jimmy. We're again. To be fair, we're looking at it from a different angle, right? We're two white males, so we're a male and we're white, right? So, of all the demographics throughout the world, we're probably the most privileged, right? At least through society's eyes, right?
Listen. I have always had a blue collar life. I have always worked very, very hard for whatever little I could scrimp and get in my life. I don't believe that I'm anywhere near a prince or a king. So I don't understand the privilege stuff. I coming from me, all right. I don't understand it. I never once got a job because I'm he's white, let's give him a job. I never felt that once. I had to beg and plead for almost anything I've ever gotten, and if it wasn't for my friends or my immediate family, I don't know if I'd get any help of any kind.
Well, listen,
I don't think I'm any different. I don't think I'm any different than anybody else out there. Okay. Who's privileged? Someone who's born into a royal family.
Wait, I'm going to disagree with you because here's the thing: the police, who I respect immensely, have had a very turbulent relationship with African Americans. Right, as a white male driving, you're not nearly as concerned as an African American.
I tell you what, Mike, put about 7 feet of long hair on you and make it the 80s. Trust me, they're pulling you over.
Are you feeling like your life is in danger with long hair and being a white guy?
I did when I was in Texas in the middle of the night, and a 6'5", blonde-haired, blue-eyed deputy asked me, "Y'all miss your parents, boy?" So yeah, I did. I've been there. All right. I get it. As far as the demographics and the numbers, of course they're in more danger. Of course they are. I'm not ignorant, but I'll tell you what, it was never easy for me, even driving around hometown.
Maria chimed in. I love Maria, First Lady of Wrestling. I think it's a wrestling move to get attention of everyone because of the remark of Tiffany Stratton being or showing racism. Now, what if Jade Cargill would have used a racist comment on her?
Right.
What do you think the backlash would have been if she would have called her a white bitch?
I got to be honest. I don't think it would have been that bad at all. I think it would have been swept under the carpet. That's what I think. What do you think?
I think you may be right.
Yeah, thank you for at least saying that, because I think that that's probably what would have happened.
I also think that it's like, again, this is a movie.
Doesn't make it right either way, by the way.
Again, but I don't know. Again, it's hard for me to say that I feel like it's wrong, but who am I to say it was right or wrong? All I'm saying, being a wrestling fan, if you're a Bianca Belair fan or a Jade Cargill fan, and especially if you're African American, man, that makes you hate Tiffany Stratton more, and that's why. That's the role she's playing.
Right. Look, wrestling is an act. It's a scripted television show. It's no different than The Sopranos, except that there's actual physical stuff that happens, all right? But Maria nailed it. They did this for attention. I believe that. I think we're all being worked. I really do. I think we're being worked because here we are sitting here talking about it. The chat's engaged in it. All wrestling fans, it's a topic. So I think Maria nailed it, quite honestly, you know? But look, this is the world we live in now. It doesn't make it right, but this is the world we live in now.
I'll tell you, pro wrestling's got drama in it on a reg. You know what I'm saying?
Of course it does. Of course it does. Look, I mean, I thought it was hilarious when Booker T actually accidentally said the N-word. I thought it was wrong of Vince to say it. I'll say that. I'm like, Vince, what the fuck are you thinking? Walking up to John Cena and saying that. That was when Booker did it, it was organic and it wasn't pre-planned. And it was like, oh, crap, did I just say that? And everyone's laughing. Everyone's laughing because it wasn't meant to be, you know? But when Vince said that, he must have known he was going to say that. You know, you got to know your boundaries. You got to know that line. You know what I mean? Her calling Bianca Belair a black bitch, and then Bianca putting laughing emojis doesn't sound to me like
she called Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, who's tag teaming with her.
Right. So it doesn't sound to me like a
little more cancel culture and trying to derail someone who's hot right now. Body cam footage of Liv Morgan's December 2023 arrest is now released. The body cam footage from Liv Morgan's December 2023 arrest has been released online. The former WWE Women's Champion was arrested December 2023 for possession of marijuana, not more than 20 grams, as well as possession of other drugs. She posted bail and reportedly had no heat with the WWE over the incident. Nearly 6 months later, the footage and incident has been released on the Law and Crime Network. We're going to play a quick little cut on that video.
Do me a favor, step out of the vehicle. Hellman, this way. Detain her, please.
Turn around. Can I grab my phone?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'll grab it for you in a second. Have you ever been arrested for failure?
All right, you
to
could cut it, Abe. I don't want to get a copyright on this since it belongs to someone else's shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't play games anyway with that sort of thing.
By the way, B40 says Liv Morgan, great hiney.
Okay, all right.
Thoughts on that, buddy?
What, her great hiney or the
on releasing something that is old hat by now? What are you gaining from that?
Well, you know what? First of all, I can't stand the internet, for that reason. That now you're going to release this stuff. The only reason you're releasing it is from malicious intent, and to draw attention to whoever released it, and to capitalize on someone else's misery. It's garbage. I haven't seen it. And I'm almost glad you didn't play it. No, I am glad you didn't play it. I don't want to see it.
We did play it, but I kind of cut it off because I was like,
Oh, you did? I didn't. Yeah. I didn't even see it come up on my screen. Sorry, folks.
You'll see when you watch it. There wasn't much, man. They basically came out of the car and they put her in handcuffs. It looked like.
I mean, what is the point of all of that anyway? Where is the privacy in this damn country at this point? Why does this have to be public knowledge?
Again, the girl got busted for like marijuana. It's like, give it a break. It's like, again, bringing this attention with a conglomerate like the WWE has all these advertisers, right? And these advertisers are very touchy. All you're going to do is screw this girl's career up, just like Stratton. I mean, if this is what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to accomplish it.
Right. Well, let's hope that's not the case because, Liv Morgan is, on top of her game right now and in the main event picture and could very well be champion again. And I hate to see it. It's just there's so much blah, blah. I can't stand all the blah, blah and the smearing of people. And, you ask for it, that's one thing. Okay, but what she did, I personally think that the marijuana laws are finally starting to get better, and it's an absolute hypocritical joke because I can still go to 7-Eleven, buy a case of beer, and do what unfortunately Sonny did, and that's perfectly acceptable.
It's good. It's good that you brought Sonny up. So you look at these two young women who are trying to build a career. Meanwhile, we opened up the show with Sonny, who had this iconic career and murdered somebody. right?
Right.
Second degree murder, but still murder, right?
Yeah.
And these girls are being cancel cultured for, again, fake wrestling against two African American women who seem like they were okay with it. At least that's our initial thoughts. And then a woman who gets pulled over in a state where you're not allowed to carry marijuana, and you got to show her arrest video.
Right. It's very hypocritical to me. I mean, it's nice that they're finally catching up with the marijuana laws, but, stop it already. I mean, if she was doing an 8-ball of coke and slammed into 3 innocent bicyclists, okay, now we're talking a different situation. But, busting Liv Morgan for pot, just stop it already. All 50 states, that's another government flaw. All 50 states need to get aligned already and cut the hypocrisy out. I've had enough of it. I had to hide most of my life. I had to live my own home life in shame because I smoked pot. Okay? That's bullshit. It's wrong. It never hampered my thinking. Mike, I'm a smart guy. Okay? You also know that I don't get lazy and reach for a box of fucking Twinkies when I smoke. I actually compose and write songs and prepare myself for our shows and get myself ready for interviews that we knock out of the park, okay? I'm not your typical, Cheech and Chong. They're great. I love them, but that was a stereotype. That's all there is to it. It's just like everything else. It's a stereotype, and I hate to see Liv Morgan possibly have any part of her character or her future career damaged over nonsense like this.
With that, I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte The Pharaoh and Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Most recently, Bart was in town for Jimmy and Karen's wedding, and I think you did some composing together that weekend, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, he's playing me some tracks, and I'm starting to, do my end of the spiel, pretty much.
Good stuff. Wisteria Hall can sing such great songs in My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page, where you what, Jimmy?
You like and subscribe.
Go to Spotify, Apple Music, Reverb Nation. You could get all their music. And if you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, Facebook Live page, Twitch TV, X. Catch us on where all audio is found. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, where over 150,000 people watch us weekly. Jimmy will be right back after this commercial break.
See you in a second, folks.
Manscaped?
Uh-huh.
Have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says weed whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped, what are you thinking about
Love it.
Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
So Manscaped is a
You-
must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because we, as men, we try not to admit this. But if you're going to
Oh,
go
I
do
know
the deed
where-
on a
I
woman,
know
would
where
you
he's
rather
going.
have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or
Racing stripe.
full retro bush?
Racing
Well,
stripe.
Retro Bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro Bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small, well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that?
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha. Oh, look what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it.
Have you ever gone down there and she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
like
46.
it pops
of
out?
course.
Do you walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's a
through.
trooper. He's a trooper. Got to give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven does, Manscaped could help you.
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
But
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler and broadcast, only seen here out of Tin Mirror Studios in Kings Park. Dude, I'm really digging the studio, man. It's like the indie thing was really cool, Jimmy, but I got to tell you, if you were here in New York, you'd be vibing it. I mean, you were here and you visited, but it's pretty hip. I'm digging it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like you said, I did see it before I came down to Florida, and I thought it was very impressive.
I love
Very
it.
impressive.
I love it.
Yep. Well, you know what? You got a staff over there. They actually give a shit. So that always helps.
They're not looking for a handout.
Yeah.
Hey,
there
man,
you go.
can you front me 5 months worth of shows? Yeah, sure. Here you go.
I need new gel. My hair looks like a racer head.
Hey, can you front me 5 months worth of shows? I don't know. I've got to ask the bots that watch the channel, see if they're okay.
Yeah.
With it.
Or the bots that watched his music video. Wah, wah.
Now those were bots.
Yeah. Obviously.
What did he have? Like 1 million in a day or something like that? How
Yeah, the
much do you
best
think
part
1
was
million bots cost? What does that cost?
The best part was I've hung out and partied
can't
with
believe
Steve
it.
Thompson from I've hung out and partied with Steve Thompson from Appetite for Destruction. You can check the credits. I've obviously worked with Eddie Kramer. When you came to me and said, "Do you know this guy?" I was like, "No."
By the way, no one knows what we're talking about. More
That's
Monte the
okay.
Pharaoh private conversation. Abe,
We're talking
it's me,
about
you, and
a
Abe.
Racerhead, guys. It's okay. Go ahead. What do you got for us?
What
What do you got for all
who
of us?
put out a new song and within a day got 1 million views, and any record company would have been all over that. Like, you know.
Right. Exactly.
What was the
exactly?
What was that? The name of that song?
Tone deaf?
Remember the video? I just forget it. Why are we getting into this? You're killing me, bro.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. Now move on so everybody can know what the fuck we're talking about. What do you got?
So Matt Hardy assesses the likelihood of Tony Khan wrestling or factoring into AEW matches. So we all know that Tony Khan maybe took the worst bump in wrestling history, and there's some people that think it was a great bump. And when Matt Hardy was asked if he thought Tony Khan would be getting involved like Vincent Kennedy McMahon, Hardy says
right.
maybe he'll be on the outside managing someone. What are your thoughts?
Tony Khan absolutely wants to pass away and wake up in Vince McMahon's body and have Vince McMahon's success. He just is absolutely obsessed with it. Tony, you don't come across convincingly. You come across as a little yutz. Now, for those folks out there who don't understand the Jewish language, you look like a schlep. Uh-oh, I used another Jewish term. You look like a complete little, for lack of a better word, weasel. All right? And that's very disrespectful to Bobby. So let me come up with something else. You look like a squirrel trying to find a nut. Okay? How's that? You look awful. You're not convincing. You have no presence. You have no aura. You can't bump. At least when Vince bumped, as bad as it looked, the place used to erupt because anything that would happen to the evil Mr. McMahon was a good thing for those who hated
Dude, am I the only
character.
guy that liked that stunner that was put on McMahon? I thought McMahon was great with that
Oh,
stunner,
McMahon
dude.
would crumble to the side like a breadcrumb. It was so, let me put it this way. It was so bad, it was good. And that's why Austin and Taker will, I'm sure you've seen the video, they're howling. They're howling. It's the funniest thing they've ever seen. Because it's so bad that it's good.
Which is worse in your mind, the stunner to
Yeah.
McMahon or Shawn Michaels' match with Hogan at SummerSlam, I believe?
Okay, now here's the problem. For me, they're both so bad that they're good. And I will stand by that. I found it hilarious watching Shawn Michaels flop like a fish. Was it unprofessional? Okay, you want to get technical? Yeah, it was unprofessional. Was that match entertaining? Oh, my God, yeah. I laughed my ass off. I thought it was hilarious. Hilarious what Shawn was doing. You know, I really have no issue with that match. You know, but then again, I've got the nerve to love Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn.
By the way, I got to jump in. Your boy Bart is saying Rangers to the Eastern Conference Final. Dude, maybe the jinx is final. I guess they won.
Did they win?
That's what Wisteria Hall's saying.
Bartman, what's the score, bro? Taping the.
It's over. It's Eastern Conference Finals. They made it. They won.
You know what? Well, I'll tell you what, and I'm going to continue to say what I've been saying. Then, right, Mike? I got to keep it honest. Right? We got to keep going.
You better.
Okay. Here's the deal, and you can decide if I really mean a word of what I'm about to say. Rangers are awful. There's no way they could possibly get another Stanley Cup in my lifetime.
5-3.
Just no way.
5-3. Bart weighed in on.
Very nice. Very nice. But I will say this much: I have always wanted Laviolette to be the head coach of the Rangers from the moment he was an Islanders coach. Coach Laviolette is the real deal, and I am not surprised that they're getting the results they're getting right now, because this guy has taken 3 different teams to the Stanley Cup Finals. Okay? He knows what he's doing, and I'm very pleased to hear that. That's awesome. However, you guys, there's no way you guys can do it. You're going to choke.
I know I'm going to upset you with this, but
Go ahead.
Monty's prediction, future president of the United States, everybody. The Rangers will lose in the Eastern Conference Final, and they will lose quickly and painlessly, 4-1. 4 games to 1.
Okay. Well, I'd like to state for the record that you are evil. You have always been a New York pessimist.
By the way, did you see the Jets schedule again?
But yeah, what the heck? What is that?
Come on, we have no chance. Season over. It's like we play it every.
Schedule is brutal, and you know what I find hilarious?
We open up with Frisco. It's like, come on, man.
The road. This is what you get for missing the playoffs. A nice soft schedule. Why don't you start against the NFC champions on the road? Oh, that sounds fair. You know. By the way, we have a record set this year. The Jets have 6. Count them. 6 primetime games. And it's funny, sometimes I take some shit for being a Jet fan here in Florida, which really cracks me up because nobody around here even roots for a Florida NFL team. Everything's college, and that's fine. Go Seminoles. I'm all on board with that. But I find it hilarious that when I do come across somebody who roots for whoever, I go, and you'll appreciate this, Mike, I go, my team is worth more than yours.
You're right.
And you know why my team is worth more than yours? For 2 reasons. Because one can't exist without the other. When Joe Namath turned the NFL-AFL championship game into the Super Bowl, when he did that, when he introduced a lot of female fans to football, because you could look it up before that, Joe was really a trendsetter. The women dug him, and a whole new portion of the fan base was created and just jettisoned from there. But what you're really getting down to is the fact that Joe didn't do this just anywhere. Joe did this in New York, okay? And that's why the New York Jets franchise is one of the top 5 most valuable franchises, I think 6th at worst, out of the 31 or whatever, how many teams there are in the 32 in the NFL, okay? Because of Joe Namath, how he changed things to the Super Bowl. And for those of you who don't realize this, Mark Gastineau forced the NFL to recognize the sack as an official statistic. So when it comes to offense, who was the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards? Oh, that would be a Jet. Who was the first defensive lineman to force the NFL to recognize the sack due to the sack exchange, and even more importantly, the sack dance? A Jet. So you can say what you want about the Jets, and I will say this schedule sucks. But as bad as you think it is being a Jet fan, some of us actually know our history. And despite all the downs, we've done some very special things for this league.
I'll make some.
I'm
going to make
the Jets.
If you're a betting man, I'm going to make a couple of
Not to mention Wahoo.
Rangers,
who made the tackle?
Rangers will lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks will lose in the Eastern Conference Final. But here's the prediction. The Jets are going to the AFC Championship game. They're going to lose. but this year we're going to the AFC Championship game.
I'll,
Anyway.
I'll tell you,
Jimmy, let's.
if they get that, if they get that far, I don't see them losing it. But okay.
All right. So on Sunday, I think it was Sunday, we had the show where the wrestlers that made us, and unfortunately, I guess you missed the email. So I'm really interested to know from you, what wrestler got you into wrestling? What match got you into wrestling? And what is your favorite match of all time? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the glitzy one. It's what means to the Pharaoh.
Okay. Question number one: what wrestler got me into wrestling? Do I have that right?
Yep.
Okay, it wasn't so much the wrestler, an individual. It was the wrestling, and I don't think you'll find that too surprising, Mike. I loved watching professional wrestling. I was very, very intrigued by it. And back in those days when we were kids, it was presented to us as real. And I took it as another sporting event. I took it very seriously. And in a lot of ways, I still do, believe it or not. But I'm sure you know how much I still respect and love professional wrestling. It was the wrestling itself. It's when you come along and I get you into wrestling where I start to think about, well, I never thought about favorites. I just enjoyed watching all of them. You know, I didn't have I hate this guy or I love that guy. It wasn't there yet. So as far as the first wrestler that really, it's Greg Valentine. That's all there is to it. It is Greg Valentine. I gravitated towards him. I liked his no-nonsense approach. I love the fact that he was a wrestler's wrestler and that he had those ham hocks. He just beat you down. He presented himself as a villain, and what a delicious villain he was. Those robes were fantastic. He was a pit bull. And the way he would also slowly break down your leg. He would start with the elbows to the leg. By the time the match was over, you were rendered useless and helpless. Greg Valentine was the prototype of what a villain should be back in the early 80s.
What is your favorite match of all time?
Was there okay, there's three questions though, right? I want to make sure we got this straight. My favorite match of all time. That's rough, all right? I'm probably emotionally. Look, as far as the clinic, you'll hate my answer. But as far as emotionally, I would have to say it was when all those 70,000 plus in Canada decided that they weren't going to root against the bad guy Hulk Hogan. They were going to root for him.
Good match.
And the match was so rewarding to me because I had been taking so much heat from anybody I talked to wrestling about, because at that time Hogan was coming off of destroying WCW. We now know that that's not really the case. There were a lot of factors destroying WCW, not just Hulk Hogan.
Well, you were about to give me that Steamboat Flair bullshit. I knew it was about to come out.
No, I
okay.
wasn't.
Right.
You know what? I wasn't. And just for that, I will tell you, the greatest clinic I've ever seen, and you're gonna vomit. I know you are, but it was the. I know you are, but I actually thought to myself, I'm like, this is the sickest wrestling clinic I've ever seen. It's so physical, and there's so many moves happening, and it was across the ocean. It was in New Japan when Omega and Okada had their trilogy. I love that. I know that makes you sick. I'm sorry.
Can you go back and watch it over and over again?
No, you can't, because like a good movie, you have to invest an hour each time. It's like one of those situations. In a movie, it's 2 hours usually, hour and a half, 2 hours. But in this case, they were marathons. I think they were like 47 minutes, 53 minutes, an hour. There was an hour one, a stalemate in there. It was insane. And it felt like a sporting event because the way the announcers, even though I couldn't speak the language, you could hear how serious. This sounded like a sporting event. The crowd was fantastic. The matches were incredible, just on a clinic level. But emotionally, I'm going straight for Hogan Rock, and I'm going for it over what I just said about the trilogy, of course.
All right, listen, we're on a time. We got 10 minutes, and this is all you now. We're going to play a game with each other. All right, so I was thinking, let's play a game. Wrestling is different now. Please tell me your thoughts on these wrestlers I'm about to name from the past. Do you think they would make it in today's pro wrestling? Are you ready?
Shoot.
The great Bruno Sammartino.
No.
Why?
No, because Bruno was perfect for his time. But if Bruno Sammartino stayed just the same, his mic skills would not go over with these crowds. He would get wutted to death. He might even get boring chants. His style of wrestling is no longer really, something you see. Sure, you see arm drags, and you don't even see bear hugs barely, let's be honest. You see arm drags and punches and kicks, but at the pace that Bruno did them back in the day would not be acceptable today. You couldn't even turn him bad. I mean, what would you do with him? You'd probably have to shave his head.
I agree with you. He's great for his time, would not be great for now.
He's the best for his time.
All right.
The best.
Ultimate Warrior.
No. No, because today, behind the scenes, there is a lot less of diva-ism. He would never be tolerated in today's business, and he barely survived back then. Vince tolerated for as long as he could, and then he fired him. So I think Jim Hellwig, the man, would not make it in today's business at all.
I agree with you.
At all.
Excellent. Number 3, the Dudley Boys.
Yes. The Dudley Boys would make it in today's day and age. Absolutely. People
Would
still
they be as revered, though?
Yes. Yes. If I'm putting a prime Dudley Boys on the stage, absolutely. Their gimmick is timeless. They are one of the greatest tag teams of all time. And I do believe that they would fit in with today's deal.
Okay.
They would. They can wrestle the style that would make the fans happy. And they were excellent. Bubba was great on the mic. So, yes, I think the Dudley Boys would do just fine.
Sherry Martel.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Sherry would probably be champion and then go manage Roman Reigns.
Pretty
How
good.
about that?
That's great.
There you go.
I'm not sure about the Dudleys, but I'm going to go with you. I think you made a good enough case. I agree with you on Martel. Friend of the show, good friend of the show, the great Tito Santana.
Well, here's the unfortunate thing with Tito. Tito would make it in today's business. He's a good person, and he would be able to do business, okay? Tito would unfortunately probably get lumped in with the LWO. Tito wouldn't get to be Intercontinental Champion unless, maybe like Santos Escobar. You know what I'm saying? And it would all be, by the way, total, background profiling. Oh,
Right.
you're Spanish? Go in the LWO. Nobody screams about that. And you know what? That's cool. I don't care. Either way, it's a show. All right? But I think that Tito would probably wind up in the LWO. I can't see him getting.
So that would be a no, basically, right? He would just be a mid-carder.
You know what? No, it's going to be a yes because I still think he'd make it in the business and he'd be popular.
We didn't say Sammartino wouldn't make it in business. We're just I'm saying, would they be as big as they were then now?
Tito, no, I don't think he would get the chance to be as big as he was. No.
Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Yes. If he's in his prime, yes. And if you're putting him with Paul Heyman or somebody like that, or Paul Ellering or whatever, yes. He's a good talker, and he was a bruiser. And I do think that for some reason he would translate. He was pretty flashy with the robes and the way he carried himself. I think he would make a great bad guy today. We don't see enough bad guys.
Very good. I like that. Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant.
Never. He would wind up being booked as a comedy act and I got kids on a shirt.
Agreed.
He's not big enough.
John Tolos.
No. John Tolos was a great villain for the West Coast back in the day when his role was he perfected his role. I don't think that he would make it today. No.
The Von Erichs.
Yes. Cody Rhodes is a good old boy, and he's doing a good job. I know we can debate about that, but I think that Cody Rhodes is making a wonderful face, a good American vibe going on him. He's coming across like a class act. I think that the Von Erichs, I've said it before to you, that I feel that the Von Erich family is pro wrestling's Dallas Cowboys. Okay? You know, and they're it's a great family.
Did
They
you have a
all
chance
had
to
a
watch
great-
the movie, The Iron Claw, yet?
No, I'm pushing. I'm pushing. We're gonna watch it. It's just that we're both, we haven't been able to get it into our schedule, but I want to see it with her.
Very interested
Absolutely.
to see your. I will tell you.
I want to see it, but I do think that if you're talking the three brothers, especially obviously the big three brothers, yes, they could make it.
Agreed. And finally, the immortal Hulk Hogan.
If it's, it's weird. If it's NWO Hogan, yes. If it's Hulkamania Hogan, no.
Wow.
No.
Nice.
Well, that's, and I'll tell you what, that's not me talking. That's a reflection of society talking. Okay? They wouldn't buy any of it. We're too busy deconstructing America. Think about it. When you see how people post on social and some of the crap that flies out of their mouths about this country, now, we're not on the same page we were during the Ronald Reagan years. I don't think that Hulkamania is running wild, say your prayers and take your vitamins would go over now. I don't. I mean, it would be nice if it did, but that's not where society's at. It's just not. NWO Hogan?
You know what? Now that you
Absolutely.
say it, yeah. And NWO Hogan, I think, could get over, but only for a very short time, right?
Oh, he could get over. He could have in his prime, if he's NWO Hogan, he could pull a Roman Reigns with his faction.
But isn't it funny? Like, if we took Roman and put him back in San Martino's time, Roman would be over back then. He's over now.
Well, you know what? If you take away, I'll really hammer your point here because I do agree with it mostly. If you took Roman Reigns and put him back in those days, took away the bloodline, okay? Maybe he has a manager. Maybe let's say we put him with Wizard,
Right.
okay? And he does the ruthless shit that he's been doing for the past, record-breaking amount of years and stuff. He tells a great story in the ring. You can hate him all you want, but there's a reason why all his matches feel real, and that he might lose the belt, and then he wins anyway. There's a lot to be said about how he tells the story in the ring that doesn't get any credit here. And to me, that's pathetic. How do you guys not
Isn't
see
it
that?
funny how when Roman wrestled guys that you were sure he's going to beat, you kind of thought he could still lose.
Right.
But with these Cody
Right.
matches, it's like, I'm not watching because there's no
Right.
way any of these guys
Right.
are beating this guy. They got
Right.
to me,
Right.
they got a problem on their hands. It's
Right.
going to
Could
wear
you
thin. It's going to wear thin quickly.
Well, time will tell. I mean, so far, I think he's done fine. Is it Roman Reigns? No, not at all. Not at all. I prefer Roman Reigns, but it doesn't matter at this point.
No, I get it.
Well,
I
it's
just
not gonna
don't. I
make me
don't
stop
want
watching it.
wrestling to lose its momentum. That's what I'm worried about.
Right.
It's been
Well,
on
I
such a
wouldn't-
good streak. I don't want it to fall apart. All right, Jimmy, we're out of time. I want to say thank you for really two great shows. Great point. I want to remind everybody next week at 9 o'clock on the main show, we've got the great Ulysses Diaz, MMA fighter, bare knuckles fighter, boxer, total real deal. And then you'll have This Week in Pro Wrestling. We promise no more what-a-day conversations. You've been watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte The Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, the Monte The Pharaoh Twitch TV page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, Channel 15 every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. and Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and Channel 20 on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Jimmy, you want to send us out?
Absolutely. You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh, and until next week, later.